RTL Football Podcast, now live on Twitch and on YouTube at 8 p.m. UK time on Thursdays.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the RTL Football Podcast. We have two of our new team members in Tyler Made Gaming. Welcome, mate. How are you? Making your debut.
Hello, mate. I'm good. Yeah, thank you, mate. Yeah, I'm feeling better, mate.
Yes, good to have you on. We obviously were meant to have you on last week, but we're glad you're feeling a lot better. We've got FM King. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you.
And we've got our special guest, our first guest of the season from the Angle Italian Pod. And yes, so how's your week been, guys? How's your week been, Tyler?
My week? Interesting. This time last week, I was on a hospital bed. Not sure what's going on, but since then it's been better. I've done a bit of commentary. I've commentated on the Melbourne derby last week. So we really enjoyed that. West Ham have won since last week, so I'm a happy boy. And so it's all in all, not a bad week. Yeah.
And FM King, how have you been, mate?
Yeah, I've not been too bad, thank you. Keeping up on the football, enjoying Villa now they've got the new manager.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll
see us win a game for once.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into that, and I'm sure our guest has some stuff to say on your new manager as well.
I think it's a pretty exciting appointment. I've been pretty excited. Emery back in the league, I think it's good. It's good things.
Yes. So we will go on straight into the games, and it's been an exciting week for games. And the first game we're going to talk about was probably the best performance I've seen in United in years, and that was Manchester United 2 versus Spurs. Two great results this week we've had, and that was a great performance. To finally see that Ten Hag ball. We were getting results before that, and the last two performances in the league have been very good. We are currently live against Sheriff. We'll keep you updated on the score. And really good game. Anthony impressing again. We were all over Spurs. What was your thoughts on it, Italian Pod?
I think it was the first time I've thought, United look decent in a while. I think you can see Eric Ten Hag getting his ideas across. As an Arsenal fan, obviously, I hope it would take a little bit longer, but it seems like he's doing it quite well. And getting performances out of players past managers haven't been able to. People like Gallo, I've been really impressed with this season. He's improved a lot. Casemiro's finally finding his role in the team. Finally, he's only been here a few weeks. And I think they're starting to see the best, or starting to get back to good Rashford as well. I think Ten Hag can get more out of him. And United got them doing real things, which is good for the league, I suppose.
Yeah, Casemiro, what a player. He's what that team's needed for years. We've needed that in our midfield for years, and he's just a monster. And we'll go into the Chelsea game in a minute, but that was a good goal as well. But anything to add on that, Tyler?
No, not too much. It was a good performance from United. Spurs obviously are a very good team. They're still third in the league, so to get a 2-0 win against them is always going to be pleasing. And I definitely think Man U are now on the right path, and they're going in the right direction. Just need to sort out whatever's going on with old Cristiano.
Yeah, he starts tonight, but I don't think it's a long-term thing. He just doesn't fit the system. That's basically it. We want to play more attack, more Ten Hag ball. Like everyone needs to link up well. And when you're playing with Ronaldo, it's that target man. You're just pushing balls into the box, and that's more counter-attacking football. We were playing under Ollie than what Ten Hag wants. It's basically why he's been dropped. Rashford can interchange with that front three with Anthony and Sancho, and he can't. So that's basically it in my thoughts. Yeah. I think the reaction was bad. FM Hub in the chat, welcome guys. Tyler's other team. So welcome in guys. Anything to add on that, King?
No, not really. I suppose like the Italian podcast, like said, I suppose it's good for them to be competing with the other teams. It's been a long time since we've seen Man U even looking like they're half decent, isn't it? So maybe they can get a few more signings in over the next few transfer windows and progress a bit more. It's nice to see, like he said about Delot, him coming along nicely. That left back the sign from PSV, was it? He doesn't look like a bad sign in Malacia.
Malacia from Feyenoord,
Feyenoord, was that it? Yeah. He looks quite a decent pickup for quite cheap money. So,
13 million.
with Ten Hag's implementing his ideas, it took a bit of a time, but they're getting there.
Yeah, definitely. And, definitely. And moving on to the next game. And did you want to get us started on that game, Spencer? Newcastle versus Everton.
Yeah, Newcastle getting the 1-0 win. Newcastle looking very good these days. They really have improved, and they've not spent the stupid money that I think everyone expected them to. I was expecting them to go out and do almost like an early days Man City, go out and buy like a world superstar or whatever. I know they've bought Isaac, but Isaac's not quite that world superstar level yet, in my opinion.
He's been injured anyway, so he's not really played. So
yeah, he's not really. Yeah, he's been injured. He's only just coming into the team. So they are in a very good team. Eddie Howe is obviously a good manager, and he's landed on his feet after getting stuff at Bournemouth. And he is loving life right now at Newcastle. Money to burn potentially, and he's already got a good team, really good fan base. They're playing well, and against a tough Everton. Because for all Everton struggles, they don't really concede that many. They've got one of the best defences in the league, I believe. So to go and get 1-0 win against them is again another good one. They're fourth in the league, and who's to say they can't get Europe this season? I wouldn't bet against them to get at least Europa League this season. I think the way they're going. So I've been impressed with them lately.
You know what I've been really impressed with? Almiron. Wow.
He's really turned up. Wow.
What has he done this season to Almiron?
Yeah, he's turned into the player we all thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he's been epic. And I heard this from the kickoff, True Geordie. I don't know if you heard this. He's scored more goals this month than Jack Grealish has scored in his whole Man City career.
It shows you what being humble can get you, I think. Being humble can get you far. Be quiet and do your work on the pitch. I think that's what all the message is.
Yeah, that did make me laugh when he said that. But yeah, do you have anything to add on that game, mate? Italian Pod?
I think, Newcastle just look very well. Again, another team that have got a good manager. They look well coached. They have a clear idea. They've not gone over the top with like Man City did, just getting Robinho and hoping it worked. They've kind of made signings that make sense. Obviously, there's always issues with Newcastle with their owners, etc., etc. But if we go to stick to the football, it's a very impressive project that we've seen, and it's a rapid improvement. I think a player like Isaac being in the league as well, if he can remain fit, he is technically outstanding. Like pace, strong. I think he's a really exciting striker to get. It's just kind of typical. They've got two strikers that have injury issues with Wilson and Isaac. I don't think they're ever going to be on the pitch at the same time.
Yeah, I think that centre back they got Botman as well. He's quality. Botman's quality.
It's another just sensible signing. Well scouted, sensible signing.
Yeah, definitely. Anything to add on that, King?
No, not really. Just massive congratulations to Newcastle and Eddie Howe. They're the only three teams in the Premier League to have lost one game, which you wouldn't put them up there with Arsenal and Man City at the start of the season. Even though they do have a lot of money, they haven't really invested, like Spencer said, in the way people might have thought. But they've also conceded the least amount of goals as well. Only conceded 10 so far this season. So, congratulations to them. It's good to see somebody else.
And that was the question marks around Eddie Howe when he was at Bournemouth and his defensive ability when he was at Bournemouth to see what he's done defensively with that team. It's very impressive. So yeah, we will move on to the next game, and the next game we are going to our West Ham fan, and that was Liverpool 1, West Ham 0. Very, very lucky by Liverpool. This Alisson saving Liverpool again.
Yeah, from what I've heard. Obviously, this was the game that was going on as I was going into hospital last week. So I've not seen it. I've only heard bits and pieces. Obviously, I've heard about the Bowen penalty miss, which is really annoying. It's really annoying. That's the one thing we're missing from Noble. With Noble, we was guaranteed penalties, but now it seems like we haven't got anyone who can step up and take them. Although Ben Rama did score one in our other game that we're going to talk about. But from what I've heard, we had a go at them. And we had a pretty good performance, and we was unlucky not to get something out of it, which is really annoying because Liverpool are sort of like the one team in the league outside the London clubs that I would love us to get a result against after the old FA Cup final back in 2006, which still hurts. That still hurts. That FA Cup final, that Gerard goal can get in the bin and just stay there. I hate that goal. But So from what I've heard, we was unlucky, but we're playing better. We're getting better. We didn't start that well. We didn't start that well, but now we're sort of improving. We're picking up wins where we should be picking up wins, and so unlucky against Liverpool, but it's Liverpool. Yeah. If they turn up, it's going to be tough to get a result.
Yeah, I knew you would start getting results. I thought there was some people calling for the manager to go.
Yeah, Moyes to go.
And it's like what he's done there the last few years is very similar to what he done with Everton when he was at Everton, and he's made them basically a solid like top end Premier League club. And I think just the depth, the start of the season, I think the depth playing in Europe, well, very similar to when Burnley were in Europe. I think it was just depth. That was the issue.
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah.
And I knew you would be fine given a bit of time, and it was definitely the right choice to stick with Moyes. Did you have anything to add on that, King?
No, not really. Just West Ham did sign quite a few players in the summer, and most of them were from overseas. So it was going to take a bit of time for them to gel into the team. I think they've brought in some quality players with the likes of Skamaka and Weta. And I do think like West Ham will be a force just outside of the top six. They'll be one of the teams like Newcastle that are fighting to break into there. And, Moyes, again, has done a great job since he's been there. I think they have been unlucky in some of the games. They could have gone on to maybe won them. But, they'll come along. Still early days.
Yeah, definitely. And italiananglopod, have you got anything to add on that game before we move on?
I just love Skamaka. And I want to say to Tyler, enjoy Skamaka. He is incredible. I think when he finds his feet properly, he absolutely tore up Serie A last season. The goals he was scoring were absolutely outstanding. His foot, like the power he gets behind shots, and he's got that real fight. Like he plays football with a bit of hate in him, and I think it really, really works. I think for West Ham, it's a perfect signing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him do that. I think with Liverpool, with their results, you could throw a dart at a dartboard to get what's going to happen next, because they have zero form at all. So I think, it was unlucky for West Ham, really, because I think towards the end as well, Alisson made quite a few saves to keep them in the game. So definitely unlucky for West Ham, but there's some exciting players there. And Skamaka, our pod, we go on about him every week. We absolutely love him.
Yeah, he's a good player. And
Skamaka's class. His goal he scored the other week where he brought it down, dinked it over the keeper. Oh, the Canio.
He's still got that silk as well. It's beautiful. He is beautiful.
I think him and Paqueta linking up in the future will be a force, won't they?
Give them time. And oh my gosh, it's going to be good. It's going to be fun to watch.
We have got a comment in chat. Welcome, mate. Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate it. Burnley will be up there next season. It does look like that. It does look they're going to be coming straight up under Company. They are looking good. We were talking about Norwich earlier, and they're struggling form, winless in 8 under the manager, I'm sure we'll get into when we speak about Gerard. And yes, Burnley will be up there next season by the looks of it. We will now move on to the next game. And the next game was Crystal Palace versus Wolves. Do you want to get us started on that, King?
Yeah, so Crystal Palace under Vieira, since he's come in, he's done another great job. Young manager, so it's nice to see. I feel like, from my point of view, watching like English football for a long time now, since I've been a season ticket holder for a long time. Watching Crystal Palace, they've never been a team that you would associate with any higher than maybe a relegation battle, I don't think. Bottom half table is where they're going to be at. But under Vieira, I do think he's took them on to the next level. I think Wolves at the minute are in a bit of limbo since Nuno left to go to Tottenham. They've recently sacked the manager, and now they've said that they're not going to bring anybody in now till after the World Cup, at least, minimum. So it's looking like maybe January, even maybe the end of the season, which their manager that they've got at the minute's not getting the results. So where do their wins come from? They're second bottom of the league, only scored 5 goals all season. So that's worrying. But for Palace, definitely they had a good result against them. They didn't really control the game, but Palace will soak up pressure, hit you on the break. They've got some fast players going forward, and they're actually very capable nowadays of defending. They've got Joachim Anderson, I think it is, at the back, who looks very good. They've got the old Chelsea boy, Mark Goye. Very competent defenders.
I'm really interested to see where Zaha goes next season, because it looks like he's going to just run his contract down, because he obviously runs out at the end of the year. It'd be interesting to see if a top club picks him up on a free, or if he stays at Palace.
There's been rumours that with Vieira there, he's kind of happy to stay, and Patrick said to him, "Look, we're going somewhere, kind of come with us." There are rumours that he's happy to stay there. I think this is a Palace team I would never have chosen to sit and watch Palace, but now I'm like, oh, Palace are on, I'll sit and watch them. I think they're just much more entertaining. The football's great to watch. Ebere Eze, Michael Elise, these are just exciting young players, play beautiful football. I think, obviously I'm biased because I love Patrick Vieira, but I do think he's doing a great job there. I still think he makes some odd decisions in game, but he's doing a really good job there, and got some really exciting players. Hopefully Zaha sticks around and makes.
They're all young as well, aren't they? Young.
I think it was. You might know more about it. I did see one rumour of him going to Serie A. I think it was AC were interested.
They scout the Premier League a lot, and they also love a free transfer. So they got Divock Origi when his contract ran down. They've been doing it. They got Giroud when his contract ran down. So they do love they do keep an eye on their contracts. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if they're having a look, because
I'd love to see
that. They rely heavily on Rafa Leao, and if they had another option for Leao when he's a bit tired or injured, it's a hot.
I'd actually love to see that. We had a pod a few weeks back where we were talking about like England national team, and that more players need to be playing abroad and all that. But the problem is with Southgate, he doesn't pick that. For example, if you're Bellingham, it's only taken him now to pick Bellingham, for example, who's been like epic playing in the Bundesliga. He only picks in the Premier League, but I think for the future of the England national team, you need players playing abroad as well.
I think you can see it with like Tomori. Tomori's grown so much since being at Milan, and he should be a starting centre back.
Oh yeah,
not even 100%. He should be ahead of most.
It should be him and John Stones. I think I was just going to say, prime example for Southgate not picking players from abroad is Tomori. Since he's left Chelsea, he's come on a lot at AC Milan, and he's a very solid defender on his day.
I know he's dropped off a bit this season.
Yeah,
Tammy Abraham is another one who last season had a great season for Roma.
He absolutely smashed it last year. And I'm going to mention a name that people in England might have forgotten, but Chris Smalling has been absolutely smashing it out here in Italy as well. And he's a defender that I think if you're looking for a backup that can come in and do a job, I'd be picking him over Maguire, and I know Maguire's in the squad. So yeah, definitely. We will move on now anyway, and the next game we have is Man City 3, Brighton 0.
Brighton's still struggling to score goals, and one thing Man City don't do is struggle to score goals.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, they're not a bad team, are they?
So
just unfortunate for Brighton. They've just really fallen off since they've lost Potter. They've just I don't know what's gone wrong because De Zerbi, when he came in, he said he wasn't going to change too much. So I'm not really sure why they're struggling quite as bad as they are. But obviously it's Man City. Everyone's going to struggle against Man City and their certain cyborg they've got up front. So yeah, it's just they're a scary team this season. If they don't win the league, it's going to be a massive surprise. And if Haaland doesn't end up with like 300 goals this season, I'll be amazed. But also Man City are fun to watch. Man City haven't always been fun to watch, in my opinion. But now they've got De Bruyne and Haaland together, and they've got a few other decent players who are going to maybe try and run at players and run at teams. But they're fun to watch now. Even when they was playing against us first day of the season, you just had to help but just marvel at how good De Bruyne and Haaland was already on the first day of the season. So just to see how good they're going to get over the next year or two, and it's just scary. But Man City are good. Brighton need a result from somewhere soon. They just need a lucky result. They need a lucky 1-0 in off someone's arse in the 90th minute. But they just need that just to get them going again, because they are still a good team.
They need a striker.
They definitely need a striker. That's the one thing from watching them. They just haven't got anyone up front. It's just so hopefully in January, because Brighton, after my FM save last year, are one of the teams I do look out for, because I had great fun with.
They're my local team. I always keep an eye on Brighton. Great stadium as well. I love the Amex. Great stadium.
Yeah, it does look good.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a really nice stadium.
I've been down to
I do. I would love to go one day.
It is nice. It's nice. I think De Zerbi is a kind of interesting one, because all of the staff went with Potter, so he's having to bring in all the staff as well. And I think he, like you said, he doesn't want to change too much. He's kind of been, I'm just going to add a few things. I think basically, like Brighton a few seasons ago, do you remember when they won every game by XG but kept losing?
Yeah.
They're kind of at that state again. They keep creating chances, but they've not got Skamaka and Raspadori. They've got Danny Welbeck. And as much as I love Danny Welbeck, he doesn't score that much. So I think they're just that one piece away, like you said. Get the striker, give the Zerbi time.
Yeah. And how many goals do we think Haaland scoring this season?
50?
Easily.
It's realistic. I honestly think it's realistic.
Yeah.
If we're talking all competitions, he's got to be aiming for at least 50, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's insane. 17 already, right? Is it 17?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, he's not far off what it took last year to win the Golden Boot.
Yeah. He's not human. One game we will go back to. I'm sure King won't approve of my next game, and that was Fulham 3-0 against Villa. Obviously, the game that got Gerard the sack. What is your immediate thoughts on that game?
So, first of all, the game, when this happened, it actually broke a few days before that Gerard was released of his duties. That actually turned out not to be true. Now, I don't know why it wasn't, because you could see from the games before that we wasn't playing as a team. We was playing tactics that wasn't suiting us. He's very stubborn to change. So we went into this game not expecting anything. Now, Fulham have come up from the Premier League. They've added additions to the squad from last season. They haven't gone mad, but they've added some good people in good places that they thought, we need to maybe sign a backup there, or somebody to come in and maybe the other person goes as a backup. So they have got a good team. Mitrovic, if he can pull it off in the Premier League, which he's been showing he can, then he can be a great striker. I think we started very slow and we invited pressure on. and with our heads being probably down already from previous results, didn't give ourselves much of a chance. I think the red card, which was overturned, also affected us. I understand why the referee gave it at the time, but the same thing is we all know how Mitrovic can work sometimes. We all know he's a bit of a drama queen. And from my point of view, looking at it with the VAR, Douglas Luiz didn't go in to headbutt him. Like he was very much stood still. So from my point, that's why it shouldn't have been given, and I'm glad it was overturned. But during the game, Fulham had like 60-something% possession. They were far better at moving the ball around, far quicker at moving the ball around. They played with confidence, freedom. You know, they played with a bit of excitement as well, which is something you don't always say about a Fulham team.
I think the difference is, I've said it a few times on the pod, but the manager has definitely learned from his previous experience in the Premier League with Watford and Everton, because he's playing good football now, and I think he's definitely learned from that experience in the past, and he's doing good stuff with Fulham. So obviously that did get Gerard revealed all his duties, and I think you've got some notes on why he's gone, King.
Yeah, I have got some notes. I don't know if you want to go into that when the Gerard bit's on, because I might be talking there for ages. I don't know if you want to stay with the game.
We'll go.
I mean,
we'll go into that in a bit. But who is our predictions for the Premier League relegation this season? Oh, good question in chat. Who do we think is going down this season? Ooh.
This is a really difficult one.
I'll go first.
You could argue for about 8 teams.
I'm gonna say Forest are gonna stay up. I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Forest are gonna stay up. They're getting better defensively. They're getting more compact. They're getting tighter. So I fancy Forest to stay up. Wolves I think will go down. Wolves are just bad at the minute. Leeds, unfortunately, I can see them going back down. And do I piss King off and say Villa? No, actually, no. I'm gonna go Southampton. I'm gonna go Southampton for the other spot. I just can't see Southampton staying up. And also, there is kind of hopeful thinking, because if Southampton go down, James Ward-Prowse will obviously become available. And I quite fancy seeing him in claret and blue next season, alongside Declan Rice and Paqueta in our midfield. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah, nice. And I basically agree with you. It's a hard question, but we will move on. And our next question is, where are we? Nottingham Forest 1, Liverpool 0. I love this result. Do you want to get us started on the Italian pod?
Never back the early kickoff. It just always comes true, right? It always comes true. I think Steve Cooper has actually, we know he's an incredible manager. Like the way he got Forest promoted, that's such a terrible start to the championship. It was genuinely mind-blowing. And I think what he's done is he's made them a lot harder to beat. Like, I think they've only conceded 1 goal in the last 4, maybe. I think they've really shut that defence down compared to when they were just rolling 4 threes every game. So I think he's definitely made it more steady. And we're seeing, with so many signings coming in, like 20 signings, whatever it was, 25 signings, we've all played Football Manager. It takes time for it to glue together, right? It takes time for the squad to get used to each other. And this is what we're seeing. The players are getting used to playing with each other. It's an incredible result. I love that it's an ex-Liverpool player that got the winner, because that's just that little extra thing. But for Liverpool, they did everything to win this game. How they did it, I think it was just Ian Henderson's pure spite that got Forest the points, because he kept everything out. But incredible performance for Liverpool. I think they're just the definition of transition. It's just, I think the whole season's going to be like just up and down.
Do we think they'll get Europe?
I think they'll get Europa League.
Yeah.
I think they'll get Europa League. I can't see them getting top 4. I've seen Liverpool fans on Twitter saying they'll still finish second, and I don't know what they're drinking.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not second. Definitely not top 4.
No chance.
Yeah, we won't go too much into that, but we will now go on to Everton 3, Palace 0. Yes, Everton 3, Palace 0 with our next game. Tyler in chat, Emery out. Yes, so what did we think of the...
that was a better performance from Everton. Like I said earlier, they've already been tough to beat. They've already been like compact and tough to beat. They've just been missing Calvert-Lewin, and Calvert-Lewin came back in this game, I think, and he did it. I think he scored, didn't he? Or he got a couple, I think.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he's what they've been missing. So Everton should be back to what they're hopefully good at, because Calvert-Lewin is great, and if he can stay fit in between now and the World Cup, I'm taking him all day long. I'm taking him all day long, just as long as he's fit. And yeah, as much as I hate to say it, Frank Lampard is doing a decent job at Everton, because they're like I say, they haven't really lost that many, and they've not conceded that many. And now Calvert-Lewin's back, they're gonna start scoring goals. So yeah, as much as I hate to say it, big fat Frank is doing a good job at Everton.
Yeah, he is. They gave him time, and it seems to have been the right decision. On that, you said you would take Calvert-Lewin to the World Cup. Who wouldn't you take then out of Ivan Toney, Abraham, and him? Who wouldn't you take?
Oh. I think maybe Ivan Toney. I think he's had I don't know. He's had a better time in the Premier League now, and he's done well. But I'd take Abraham, because he's got that experience of playing over in Italy, playing against a different kind of football week in and week out. Calvert-Lewin is your big strong target man kind of striker, and then you've obviously got Harry Kane, who's going to get you goals no matter what. So yeah, unfortunately, as much as I do like Ivan Toney, I tried to buy him tonight on FM for West Ham, but he said no. So for that reason, that's the reason I'm not taking him. If he'd have said yes, I'd have been all over him up front. Ditch Kane, leave Kane at home, bring Toney. But because he said no, stay at home, mate.
Can I just add something there? I think I'd rather take Danny Ings or Ollie Watkins, and to be honest, I wouldn't want to take either of them, and I'm a Villa fan. DCL's been out injured for a long time, and since he's come back, I don't think he's done enough to be in there. I think you got people like, you obviously take Harry Kane, even though maybe you play him as a number 10, maybe you play somebody alongside him, but you take the likes of Tammy Abraham if he's fit, been doing great. You take Ivan Toney, I know he scores a lot of penalties, competition football, we could need penalty takers. You take players like that. I don't think you take somebody that's been out for a long time injured.
Yeah.
He is a great striker, DCL, don't get me wrong. And if he was playing regularly and banging them in, yeah, he's definitely in there for a shout. But I just don't think at the minute that's the right option.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yes, we will move on to the next game. And that was...
I think you're on Leicester Wolves.
Yes, Leicester Wolves. Do you want to get us started on that, King?
Oh, I didn't know it was on this one, so like that. Don't even know what the score was, to be fair. I've got my games up on the screen. I think that was you and
4-0 Leicester.
Yeah, 4-0.
An Italian pod.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, I can jump in on this one. Sorry.
I'll take it. Much better performance from Leicester. Brendan Rodgers obviously has been under loads of pressure, as you'd expect, with a team like Leicester being down there. But it's all Brendan Rodgers' own fault for not getting another keeper in the summer, because their keeper Danny Ward. Oh my gosh, my missus could do a better job than him in goal. I commentated on a Leicester game a few weeks back, and just my main memory of that game is just Danny Ward flapping at everything, and just I think I can't remember what game it was, but I think Leicester might have been leading, but then because of Danny Ward, they threw it away, if it wasn't for Danny Ward, if they had a decent keeper, they'd be high up the table. So hopefully that is what they do in January. But that was a much better performance from them, but albeit against Wolves, who are poor and who are probably going down, and so they have to find some more Portuguese players who fancy playing in the Championship next season. Maybe Cristiano fancies it.
Yeah, it was three great goals today. It was Tillemans' goal, first goal, really good. What a shot! Yeah, they're looking a bit better the last few games. I think he's bought himself some time at Leicester. It'd be interesting to see if he can keep it up.
What do you think is actually going on at Leicester? Because obviously they lost their club captain, Kasper Schmeichel, and didn't replace him. There's meant to be massive money debt. Tillemans won't sign a new contract. He's going on a free at the end of the season. James Maddison, I heard, was on the verge of signing for Newcastle, and I think it was a £45 million deal. So you've got players wanting to leave left, right, and centre. You've got, is it financial issues from some sort of training ground that they've had redeveloped?
I think, quite sadly, it all goes back to when the owner passed away.
I was going to say,
since that happened, running of the club has not been to the level it was before that.
I don't think. I agree. I don't think his son has that. Like, obviously, his dad was really into running the club, and he was like, he'd give out like free burgers on his birthday, and he was like really good at running the club. And I just don't think his son has that interest that he has, and it's really affected the way the club's been run in the last 18 months.
I also think there's a thing with Brendan Rodgers, though, where it does kind of, the players lose interest and things run out. It happened at Liverpool. At Celtic, he left at the first opportunity. But, I mean, like in the past in his jobs, it has kind of turned sour. And I think there's a few players there where there's been attitude issues. Like Tillemans, we all know how great a player he is. Arsenal were very close to getting him, but I think we didn't get him because he downed tools. Because he didn't want to be there. I think there's a few players where you can see the attitude problems coming in, and they're not quite trying as hard as they did in the past. Maybe their heads have been turned. I think it's all this big mess. They'll be fine. They'll stay up because they've got enough quality that they'll beat enough teams. But I think it's not going to be a fun season.
Yeah, definitely not. It's sad. But do you think they'll be fighting for relegation, or do you think they'll be okay at the end of the season?
I think they'll get out of it. I think they've got enough quality there that they'll beat the teams around them, and they'll be fairly comfortable. Maybe fine. 13th, 14th by the end of the season, and they won't really be troubled by it because they've got Maddison who can just ping into the top corner. They've got teams who can do the same. If Vardy stays fit, he's going to get you goals. Daka is a great player. Like, they've got quality. They just need to be consistent.
Yeah. Do you think with these financial issues that come January, Maddison's going to be high on the list for clubs to buy? So maybe they could lose him. And I do think at the minute it is players like Maddison, Tillemans. They're the players that are at the minute keeping Leicester where they are and in the fight. If they was to lose one or maybe two of them sort of players, getting a couple of injuries, could be in big trouble. Yeah,
definitely. We will move on. We will now go to Aston Villa and the resurgence under their new manager, and that was 4-0 under Emery. Did you want to start us off on that, King?
Yes, I'd love to. Yeah, I hate the way that all the pundits won't slag off Steven Gerrard, and it's all down to the players that they're down to. Not the fact that Aaron Danks came in, changed the system, played players in positions where they actually want to play, dropped our captain and a couple of other players that have been in the starting lineup week in, week out, and literally changed the whole way of playing. So instead of playing with 2 10s and very narrow, we switched to a 4-2-3-1. We actually played Bailey out on the wing where he's so much better. We utilised our squad. We played Buendia in behind the striker with Watkins out because Watkins can cut in, he's got some pace. And it actually worked for the first time since we sold Grealish for 100 million. We brought Danny Ings, we brought Buendia, and we brought Leon Bailey. This is the first time that they've played together. The First time ever since
Wow.
we signed them
Wow.
that they've played together.
That's that is insane.
And we win
That's
4-0.
ridiculous.
So I actually hope Alan Shearer's watching. If you are, mate, I think you need to get some better stats, because I think it was really disrespectful on Aaron Dank that he actually did come in and make a fair few changes. Him to drop somebody like McGinn that has been there through getting us promotion. He's now club captain. He changed the captain. Martinez was the captain. We just played a lot more solidly at the back from the first whistle. I think we was ahead after 2 minutes. We was inside 15 minutes. We was 3-0 up. You know, we went at them from the beginning. We looked like we wanted to be there. We looked like we had players that they'd got more freedom. They were released to do what they wanted to do rather than be playing in field where they're not sort of used to playing. And I just think it worked.
Yeah.
So very happy.
Yeah. We won't go too much into that because we'll talk about it in the Gerard section we have. Anything else to add on that game, Taylor?
No, not too much. Not nice to see Villa playing well again. Our fellow Claret and Blue team. Nice to see them doing well. And nice to see Gerard getting sacked. That's always good to see.
Yeah, and we will move on now. And next game is West Ham 2, Bournemouth 0. Do you want to get us started on that, Tyler?
The actual West Ham game I got to watch this week, so I'm happy about that. I watched it and we won. Is there any connection? I don't know, but we won. Decent performance. Not the most exciting game of football that we've ever seen. A lot of talk on Twitter about the atmosphere being poor at the stadium on the night, which is unfortunate. But we got the win. Ben Rama with the penalty towards the end to make it 2-0. And very nice performance. Scamacca didn't really do too much, but he is going to have a quiet game every now and then. I still love him. He is the second coming of Paolo Di Canio, if you ask me. Quiet game for him. Declan Rice played well as well. So that's good to see. That's good to see. And nice, decent, professional performance. It's nice for us to beat a team we're actually supposed to beat, because it's not always been that way. Most of the time, we're beating teams we're not supposed to, and then we're losing against the likes of Forest or whatever. So decent performance. Happy with that. We move on to beating that small team on Sunday.
Yeah, bring it on. And what's your thoughts on that, King? That game?
I think West Ham played quite well. They controlled the game. They had most of the possession. They created 20-odd chances on goal. Unfortunately, they do need to try and convert a few more on target, because I feel like they were a bit wasteful with their efforts. But you've got to give it to them. They are in European competitions. They are rotating the team. Paqueta, Scamacca, bringing all these new players in. They've got the young German lad. They are having to work all that around 2 competitions that they're taking part in. And they're doing it quite well. And I feel like under the stewardship of Moyes, they've got solid players like Rice, Soucek, Paqueta now exciting. Scamacca, if them 2 can link up, can be great.
Yeah.
Just, solid at the back with Zuma and Cresswell and that. They're getting. I know that they started the season off with a lot of injuries in defence. And I think even for a couple of games ago, they had 1 fit centre-back. So for them to be still in and around where they are in the table, where they're 10th, and they've only conceded 12 goals when they've had hardly any fit centre-backs, I think you've got hats off to them,
Yeah, and it was definitely as we said earlier, it was definitely the right decision to keep with Moyes. That would have been a silly decision, and I can't believe West Ham fans were even questioning getting rid of him.
That was bloody ridiculous.
I think, is it Ruari? Like Ruari said earlier, Rory. Like you said earlier, when Scamacca can get in his form like he was at Sassuolo, and you've got Paqueta, who was assisting more times than the likes of Kevin De Bruyne in the French league, this could be a partnership to watch out for. And I think that's what's exciting West Ham fans at the minute.
Yeah. How much did you pay for him from Sassuolo?
What's Scamacca? 45, wasn't it? Something like that, I think it was.
Yeah, it's not a bad price. Not a bad price at all.
It's not a bad price. Not in today's market.
Yeah, I think PSG was sniffing around him as well. So
they were.
It was a really big, for West Ham, that's huge to get him, if you know what I mean. I think it's worth every penny. By next season, by the end of this season, we'll be seeing it really pay off.
Nice. And we will now move on to, I think we've got 2 more games left. And the first one is Spurs 1, Newcastle 2. And did you want to get us started on that, Italian pod?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about Spurs loss. It's my favourite thing. I enjoy it more than talking about Arsenal wins. I think, again, Newcastle were outstanding. I think Tottenham, now I try to be unbiased when I talk about it, but I think that they have a serious lack of creativity apart from Kane and Son. I think now Kulusevski's injured. That guy was unbelievable for them. Now he's not in the team. You're really seeing the rest of the players be exposed. Players like Emerson Royale just haven't got that final ball, haven't got the kind of composure to do it. The midfield has got zero creativity. Bentancur is fine, he's not exciting. I think if you manage, which is easier said than done, but if you keep Kane and Son quiet, you keep Spurs quiet, and I think teams are starting to figure it out. Newcastle played incredibly well, really just managed the game very, very well. Callum Wilson, of course, getting there, and I think it's just a really exciting performance from Newcastle, and I did really enjoy seeing Tottenham lose. I just think there's very few things better than watching Tottenham lose.
And again, another great performance by Almiron.
Yeah, another one. Yeah.
Sick at the moment, and
I think his goal though was very sloppy defending against Tottenham. Like the way he cut in, I think was it the right back or left back? I can't think which one it was, but he just lost his man. He just stood still. And it's like Ruriani said earlier, that since they've lost Kulusevski, they have lost all of their creativity behind the strike force. I think Basuma was brought in for maybe that reason, but it just hasn't worked out. And I think Bentancur's great defensively in midfield, but they need that person that can drive the play forward. And I don't think Holberg is a decent squad player. But is he somebody that you really want in a top 4 Champions League team?
I think there's also a player that they signed who was really exciting on the wing, Jed Spence, and he can't get a minute on the pitch. I don't know what he did to that content, but he was unbelievable in the Championship last year. They're playing Emerson Royale out there, who every time I watch him play, I'm so glad Arsenal signed Tommy Asu instead. Thank God. But I can't believe that Jed Spence is not getting picked over Emerson Royale. I don't know what he's got to do to get him in. If that guy could get you that up and down the pitch, he can get that kind of final ball across, I think.
Yeah, I will do the update as well. United have scored against Sheriff. It is 1-0, and let's have a look. I'll have a look at that in a minute. But we will go on to our final game, and that is United, and it's United versus Chelsea, 2-2. 2 clubs in very similar situations. So they're both with new managers, and both projects with new managers and young up and coming managers. And it was a good game. It delivered. Very
exciting game. Yeah.
Right at the end with that winner from Casemiro right at the end of the game, and what a player he is. What's your thoughts on that, Tyler?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game. More goals than I was expecting from because in those games between the teams at the top of the table, you don't normally get that many goals. So to get 4 in one game is always good. And for Casemiro to get 1 is always is nice for him. I think that's his first since joining the club. So a big massive time to get it against one of your rivals, and it just shows it just shows again that spirit is kind of coming back to Man U. That never say die. That always keep going to the last minute. That's coming back now. So Ten Hag is doing a good job, and he's doing a good job, and so is Potter at Chelsea. Potter is just carried on from what he was doing at Brighton. He's carried on with that at Chelsea, and so I would be surprised if Chelsea got third or fourth in the league this season, and if Graham Potter got Chelsea into the Champions League once again, and so it's two good teams, good game to watch. Really enjoyed it, and so hopefully both teams do well going on.
Yeah, and it was Diego who got the goal from right back. So I think that might be his first for the season, I believe. So yeah, come on, good on him. He's continuing his great season, and we will now move on to our first subject of the week, which we're going to pass on to FM King, and that's Gerard's sacking. So, did you want to get us started on your rant on Steven Gerrard?
Right. I mean, it's not all bad. When he came in, he did a good job. Probably the new manager's bounce. He didn't do badly all the time, but people don't seem to want to say anything bad about him, and that's what I think frustrates a lot of Villa fans. So he took over on the 11th of November last year. He was sacked 22 days before his year anniversary. When he was sacked, Dean Smith was on a points accumulation of 10 points after 11 games. When Gerard was sacked, he was on 9 points after 11 games. So he's also had two transfer windows. The first one, he brought in Coutinho on loan, and he brought in Luca Dean. Great signings, Luca Dean. Coutinho on loan was good to start off with, but he soon dropped off the boil. He dropped off the boil that much, we didn't pay the arranged fee that was in the loan agreement. We ended up getting him cheaper because the board wasn't sure about it. That there sort of puts doubts in the mind about why do we want to sign that player when, yes, he had the original, come into the team, that little bit of a buzz, but it was disappointing. Since he had his new manager bounce and came into managing Aston Villa, his record has been somewhat sort of shocking. He's got a lower win percentage than some of the old Villa managers. So he's got a lower win percentage than Dean Smith. I know that they have played more games. He's got a lower win percentage than Tim Sherwood, a lower win percentage than Gerard Houllier, a lower win percentage than Steve Bruce. These are all managers that came into Villa and tried and failed. He's also got a lower win percentage than what Gary Neville had at Valencia, and that's bad. So, looking into it as well, the results this season after spending a lot of money in the transfer window. So over his time after buying Luca Dean and Coutinho, who we ended up signing on a permanent, we brought Diego Carlos, which unfortunately he got injured very early on, which is a shame for him, and I hope he comes back. He's doing well, I'm hearing, on the medical room, but we brought in Dendonka, which I think was a bit of a panic buy towards the end of the window. We brought in Robin Olsen, who was the backup keeper, who only played one game last season, which was the last game at Man City. Had a right nightmare. We brought in Boubacar Kamara, who is probably one of the most exciting transfers of the window on free transfer.
Free transfer. I wanted him at United.
Yeah, we also got Ludwig Augustin on loan from Sevilla, exciting left back. So we've signed some really good players. But when you sign players like that, and you'll know from supporting Arsenal and Man U, you get these, and even West Ham, you'll get these players in and you expect to see progression. And what we haven't seen as Villa fans is the progression. So we lost 2-0 to Bournemouth, first game of the season. We controlled the game, we controlled the shots. We couldn't create nothing. We lost then to Palace 3-1. Okay, we didn't have the possession stats and stuff as we did, but we still could have taken more chances than what we did. We lost to West Ham at home after controlling the game. We should have probably either drew or won that. We won against Southampton. Now, I was actually at this game. Both teams only had one shot on target for the whole game. It was dreadful. None of us deserved to win. I left after 75 minutes because it was terrible. we then couldn't beat a 10-man lead. Now, we had chances. Coutinho hit the bar. Watkins couldn't finish his dinner, I'm afraid. And we controlled possession again. We then faced a Forest team that had conceded 19 goals in the previous 4 games. and drew 1-1 after having 60% possession. The problem with Gerard from a fan's point of view is since he lost Beale, with him going to QPR, there's a lot of talk around the tactical training. It wasn't the same. He was a lot involved with a lot across the training field, and I think this shows you with how well he's done. And I think losing him has affected maybe our progression as well this season. But he's too stubborn. He won't change his system, even though we haven't got the players to fit that system. He just won't change. And I think the disconnect between him and the fans, when you've got a manager, I don't know if everybody does it, but definitely for a team like Villa, you go away, manager and players come over and just clap the fans that are travelling. You know, when you're at home, you clap your fans. This bloke will just walk straight off down the tunnel. He doesn't look like he's interested. It's all about Steven Gerrard, not about the team that he's managing. And for me, that's why the fans get on his back. The inexperience, like, of not trying out a new formation or trying to use players and utilising them in their correct positions, I think has also cost him. And I do think losing Michael Beale, which was this trusted assistant at Rangers, has also had a something to say in that as well. So,
you made a comment on previous managers. As an Aston Villa fan, what is your thoughts on Dean Smith? Dean Smith is obviously currently the manager of Norwich City. He's currently under a lot of pressure. They haven't won in 8 games in the Championship, which is obviously clearly the best team in the league. What is your thoughts on Dean Smith as a manager? I know a lot of Villa fans actually really liked Dean Smith when you had him. So I want to know what your thoughts on Dean Smith is as a manager, and should Norwich stick with him or jump?
I think, Dean Smith's career, he started off at Walsall and then came to Brentford and then came to Villa. And I think Villa fans are always going to love him because he's a Villa lad. He used to come and he was a season ticket holder with his dad and his granddad. So, he's one of us, really. And when he came in, he took us from bottom half of the Championship table to the playoffs in that season. We won, I think, 16 of our last 18 games to get there. So, he did a great job down there. I think first season in the Premier League, we struggled a bit. And I maybe think he found his level, I think. And I don't know whether he needs a bit more time, maybe in the Championship or something. But I do feel like he was sometimes a bit out of his depth. But he does always give 110%. And when he's committed to a job, he'll want to be there and he'll want to try and see it through. And I know that it'll probably be hurting him that he's in this sort of position with Norwich, because I know that he thinks he can probably do better.
There is someone in chat who said that he feels that Dean Smith's sacking was wrong. Did you think he went too early?
I feel that with the owners that we got in, the new owners and their vision of the club, I think that maybe affected the reason why he was sacked. They've set out a plan that they want us in Europe within so many seasons and stuff like that. And it's a bit like the progression thing. I feel if he'd have started the season off, like after his first 10 games, 11 games, was on 10 points. If he'd have got a few more points on the board, he wouldn't have been sacked. But it's the fact that it's the slow start, and Villa's owners are very progressive. They want the club. They've invested a lot of money, and they want the club to be in a certain position. And I think that is going to pay. I think they're going to back Emre now in the January, and I think he'll probably get into next season. But if he starts slow next season, our managers, our owners, they won't be afraid to push the button.
Yeah. Anything to add on that, Tyler, or an Angle Italian pod?
Well, I wanted to quickly talk about Emery. So I think it's a really sensible appointment for Villa. I think it's the kind of the highest caliber of manager they could realistically approach, if that doesn't sound patronising. I hope it doesn't sound patronising. But I think he's like the highest they could get. And I think what he's going to bring is stability. He's going to bring very sensible football. Against big teams, you will get results. And against the teams you should be beating, you won't really concede goals. I think with Arsenal, obviously it ended incredibly bit with Arsenal. The squad for him was an absolute mess. I think he was at the club at the worst possible time for any manager. So I don't think it's a fair assessment of him, the job that happened at Arsenal. But that being said, he's got better finishes in the league than Arteta. So I think he really is a very, very good manager.
Over 70 games, because I think Arteta's been there 70 games now, hasn't he? I think Unai Emery, I've seen a stat that he's actually got a better win percentage than Arteta.
And it doesn't surprise me at all. Honestly, I think what the issue with Arsenal was, I think, was the style of football. I think the club saw something and they were like, oh, this is, when we're conceding whatever it was, 30 shots to Watford, they were like, okay, this is not the football Arsenal we want to play. I think ultimately it just wasn't a good match. But you've seen, since he went to Villarreal, he's won another Europa League, right? Because that's what he does. And I think he's going to progress Villa, and he could push them if they back him. And as you said, the owners, they probably will. He could start pushing you towards Europe. So congratulations on your upcoming Europa League win. I hope you enjoy it.
I mean, do you know what? Just getting in there will be good enough for me at the minute. It's been a long time since we've been in a Europa Cup.
I think it's actually an upgrade because Arsenal haven't won a European Cup and Villa have. So.
No, well, that's it, exactly. Yeah, they won the European Cup. We've won all that.
Yes. So overall, I think it's a good appointment. There was talk of that before even Gerard went the week before that they approached Pochettino. I think that was the original person they approached. I don't know if that was true or not. But I think that Emery's a really good appointment. I think he'll do well there. Anything to add on that, boys, before we move on?
He's bringing his assistant, is it Arias from Villarreal as well? I think he's got a few coaching staff. And just to say, I do follow a few Villa reporters on Twitter, and a lot of them are reporting we did try and make contact with Pochettino, but he wasn't interested. So I think what you were saying, your Italian podcast, I think he is the best, highest reputation manager that we could have got. And you do have to look. I know that Villa have always been a massive team within the Premier League. We always used to be a top 6, 7 team in that sort of 6th, 7th, 8th place, fighting for the Europa League positions. We're not that team anymore. We've not long come back up. We're building. And that's what we've got to remember as Villa fans, we need to try and cement that top half table finish, and then try and push onto them positions. So for us to get somebody like Emery, coming from Villarreal, where you just said he's won a Europa League, I don't think we could have got anybody better.
Yeah, I definitely
Good evening.
We're getting a lot of that in the pod now. And so we will now move on, and our main subject of the week is the fall of Juventus and the Italian football. So we've got our mate from the Anglo-Italian pod. We wanted to talk about this for a while, and we thought it was the perfect time with you on, mate. So yes, I've done a little video showing some of their results and the table in Serie A at the moment. So this is the current table, top 6. So top 8, sorry. So we have Napoli, Milan, Lazio, Atalanta, Roma, Udinese, Inter Milan, and Juventus. Napoli doing very well, followed by Milan. Open title race. They're still quite open, but I think Napoli will win it. They're doing really well. But Juventus, some of their results this season. So we're going to go through the results, and then we will hand over to you and get your thoughts. So let's go. So this is the last few months. So the first one we're looking at is against Monza, and that was a 1-0 loss. Then they went to play Benfica at Juventus and lost 2-1. Then they were at home and drew 2-2. Then they had PSG. They had 2-1. Then they were against Fiorentina at Fiorentina, and that was 1-1. Then they went to Monza. No, wait. Looking at that one. Then they went to Where is it gone? Anyway, they've had some really
It's been bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've had-
they lost to Milan 2-0 shortly
Yeah,
after
that-
that. And then
yeah,
the
that's-
big one was they lost to Maccabi Haifa in Israel. Which
that's the screenshot I had, and I lost it somewhere.
yeah. It's been bad. It's been very, very bad at Juventus, but this has been coming for a few years. I think they dominated the league for so long, right? They won 9 Scudetti in a row, and it seemed like it was never going to end. And then Conte leaves, Allegri leaves, and it all kind of... The new owner, the son, Agnelli, the great-grandson, because it's always been in the same family, he has decided to turn Juventus into a marketing project rather than football. So he brought in the Amazon documentary, he brought in Ronaldo, when the club massively couldn't afford it. It meant that the rest of the squad could not be invested in whatsoever, and this is what we're seeing. Ronaldo's left, and the squad is below par. They bought in Vlahovic, which is an incredible signing, but what they've done is they've brought in a manager who cannot coach an attack. All he does is defend. Now, with that squad, they can't defend. They've got Szczesny, who his years are long behind him.
Yeah.
Bonucci, who was getting carried by Chiellini through games, and it's more obvious every day now that he misses Chiellini. The midfield is average, would be polite. I think players like Rabiot and Kenny, they're just okay players. Locatelli was brought in. He's been completely wasted.
They lost De Ligt as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they've sold De Ligt. Even he wasn't great at Juventus. I think he had a few games where he thought, he's struggling. And I think what we're seeing now is Juventus are they don't have a direction. And with Allegri, they've got a manager who refuses to change. And the problem is, Agnelli, the owner, has never fired a manager halfway through the season. Never.
Yeah.
So when he makes a decision, he sticks with it. So for Juventus, they're sticking with this decision. And that's also because it all feeds back to Ronaldo. They can't afford to sign him. He's the best.
I heard this.
He's the best paid manager in Serie A. So he's the highest paid manager in Serie A, and they have no way of getting him off his contract. He's quite happy to stay there. He said pre the Benfica game, he said if we get knocked out of Europe, it's not a personal failure on my part. He does not see it as his problem. He sees it as a club, and Juventus fans are very, very, very angry about it. Now, regular listeners to our pod will know we don't like Juventus, and it is kind of fun to watch them going through this tournament. I think ultimately they'll still get Europe because the teams in Italy do tend to fade away. There's a lot of teams at the moment that are having very good starts, like Udinese, who have been incredible. I don't know if they can hang around that long, and I think Juventus will jump into one of those spots. But it's an absolute bin fire at the moment in Turin, and Allegri's there for the foreseeable. I think he's still got 2 years on his contract.
Wow.
It's not good. But it's fun. It's fun. And now they're officially out of the Champions League after that disastrous performance against Benfica last night. They did manage to fight back to 4-3, so they gave it a bit of a go. But the holes in the squad are just there for everyone to see. Szczesny, again, having a poor game. Bonucci, an absolute shocker. And it's not a happy place. Pavel Nedved, the director of football, he's getting in trouble every other week for various things, pissing off most of the squad. That's why Dybala left. He fell out with Nedved. So everyone, it's just a lot of infighting. But Italian football has a lot of that. That's why.
Yeah, I do like Italian football. It's my second favourite league after the Premier League. Now I think it's definitely
great at the minute. It's very great.
I think it's definitely overtaken. I used to like the Bundesliga, but I think it's clearly the number 2 league
I think,
now.
and with this year, the title race we're seeing, Napoli are unbelievable. I think they're arguably on form the best team in Europe at the moment. I think they would give Man City a game. Genuinely, I think they would give Man City a game. They've now got the squad depth that means that if Osimhen gets injured, it's not a big problem. They've got Raspadori. They've got Simeone, they've got that squad depth. Spalletti's a great coach. I think they could be there for the long run. We've got AC Milan improving. They had a bit of a patch there improving. into the same. Like, you could argue for 4 teams winning the Scudetto this year. Like, Mourinho's still about. He's going to have something to say. And Juventus always do get there somehow. They always get top 4. So there's lots of teams that you can argue can win it. So I would definitely say give Serie A a watch. And I think it still has the most goals per game of all the European leagues. I think. It did last season.
It surprised me, Yeah, I've been keeping an eye a lot more the last few seasons. It has been good, obviously, with Inter winning it and then AC last year.
Yeah.
So that was huge. And I've always really liked AC Milan.
Mm-hmm.
So that was I really enjoyed them winning it last year. They've always been my Milan club, my Italian club I've kept an eye on. So.
Well, now it's interesting in Milan because I'm in Milan, and it's interesting because now both teams are on 19 titles, right? And for every 10, you get a star on your shirt. So in Milan now, it's the race for the second star. Which team is going to be the first team to get the second star on their shirt? So there's a lot riding on it this year. There's a lot riding on it.
Fair enough. And
do you think it's good for Italian football with the fall of Juventus? I know you mentioned the financial stuff from having Ronaldo and different things like that. I mean, they've failed to replace one of the greatest midfielders ever, Andrea Pirlo. They also, you were saying about Chesney, Gianluigi Buffon is one of the best goalkeepers I've watched growing up. He has been for so many years. Chiellini at the back, he was probably the rock to Bonucci. Even though I hate him for what happened in the Euros. but literally, I mean, Pirlo, you've got a player there that is probably one of the best midfielders to grace a football pitch ever. And they've never replaced any of those.
Yeah, I think with Juventus, they've taken a long time to make decisions, and that's why Bonucci is still where he is. They've not... They really struggled, as a lot of teams do, they struggled moving on from that era, because that team dominated the league. It was never even close, and everybody lost interest in Serie A, right? It was kind of like looking at the Moldovan league, and you're like, oh, that team's going to win it. It's decided. French league is decided before it's kicked off, right? And I think now, Serie A is so much more marketable, so much more fun to watch. Yeah. It has to be, thank God Juventus have been around for. Thank God they've been around for. They've also got a lot of legal issues in the background. So they're being done for creative accounting. They're being still in trouble for the Luis Suarez trying to get him a passport when he didn't pass the test. Yeah. They've got a lot of legal problems going on at the moment.
I was going to mention as well, like obviously they're one of the big pushes still for the Super League, and obviously the Super League has come out its ugly head the last few weeks again with the new CEO. Do you think that's a massive part of their financial issues as well? Do you think they expected that to go through, and because it hasn't, similar to Barcelona, they're struggling financially?
I think you've got two of the teams that are in the biggest financial hole in Europe, both trying the hardest for the European Super League, and that's not a coincidence. And they're both now in the Europa League, which is beautiful. But I think Juventus really were banking on that work. They were like, this is our like Hail Mary pass. If this works, we're fine. If it doesn't, we've got a lot of work to do. And I think they're still trying to push for it. Agnelli is still ranting on Twitter every so often about how the European Super League's the only thing for football. But hopefully we can keep fighting it. But Juve and Barca.
And Madrid. But
I don't think it'll work without the Premier League teams. So it wouldn't be the same, would it? And I don't think they're going to go, because if they was to leave now, they would be expelled from England. They signed an agreement. Two things just before we move on. Napoli, like you were saying earlier, wow, their team. I've watched them a few times this season. Absolutely unstoppable. I'm not sure about giving Man City a game, but they are up there, aren't they? And their coach has got them really well drilled. The other team that you didn't mention in that is Lazio.
Yeah,
Lazio back in the day was quality with Gascoigne and stuff, and feel like they've only lost one, only conceded 5, which is the lowest in the league.
No, that's right. And again, on this week's pod, we mentioned we always ignore Lazio. It's like, sorry, Lazio fans. But Maurizio Sarri is the manager there now, and I think it's the perfect. I think he chose 2 bad jobs. He chose Chelsea, where he was never going to get time, and he chose Juventus, where his face didn't fit. Even though he was the last one to win the Scudetto with them, They chased him out. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. Chelsea fans did the same with him after the league win. They couldn't wait. What he needs is a club that's going to give him time, and that's what he did at Napoli. His team at Napoli was still the best Napoli team. They were unbelievable with Hamsik, and the whole team was beautiful. And Lazio now are giving him time, and you can see his style is coming through now. They're playing savvy ball, that quick, intricate passes, like relentless pressing, high scoring, and he's starting to get a tune out of them. And I think, you're right, they really could push this year.
I think it's very similar. I think it's very similar situation with Jose and Roma. I think it's like the perfect club for him. I've been saying for years he needs to go back to Serie A. His style fits the Italian league so well. I was actually quite surprised he didn't go back to Inter after Spurs. I think if it was literally like a week later they sacked their manager, I think if it happened otherwise, I could have saw that return to Inter.
There was Inter fans that would still welcome him. They would carry him back to the San Siro themselves after that trip. All my friends are Inter fans, and they still talk about the constantly. Always talking about the treble. He's a god in half of this city.
Before we just move on from Inter, in Italy, sorry, not Inter, just some breaking news. There's been a mass stabbing where Pablo Mari, on loan from Arsenal, has been rushed into hospital. There's also one dead, so I don't know what's happened, but obviously our thoughts are with all of those and their families.
Yeah, I just saw it on the way back from work. It was in Milan, and everyone was kind of looking at their phones and looking at the news for what the hell's going on. So our thoughts are with all the...
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, well, our thoughts are with them and hope they recover soon. And yes, it's been great to have you on, mate.
No worries.
And where can we find you, mate?
We are everywhere. It feels like I'm managing every single social media account except TikTok. I refuse to get TikTok because I'm too old. We are on Instagram at AngloItalianPod. We're on Twitter at italiananglopod. You can search us on YouTube. We've got big things planned for the World Cup, so keep an eye on our YouTube. We're doing lots of videos there. We have live shows on a Monday, recorded shows on a Thursday, and we talk all things Serie A, Serie B, sometimes Premier League and Championship, sometimes. So come and check us out. We're everywhere. Spotify.
Definitely do that. Where can we find you, King?
You can find me on Twitter at FM King, or you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/FMKing007. We stream FM most night.
Yep, and where can we find you, Mr. Tyler?
All right, then. So you can find me mostly on Rolling Sports Media on YouTube. That's where I do my football commentary. I'm commentating on some Australian league game either tomorrow or Saturday. So give them a sub. We're trying to get to 100 subs in the next few weeks, so that would be cool. So if we can do that, that would be nice. You can also find me either on the FM Hub website or on YouTube. On YouTube, Taylor Made Gaming. Twitter, Taylor M Gaming, because limits and my name's too long, which is brilliant. And I think that's about everywhere. Keep your eyes peeled on my Twitter to see what I'm doing with my FM content, if I'm doing YouTube or if I'm doing the blogs. TBD, but we will decide in the next couple of weeks. I know what save I'm doing. Almirante Brown in the Argentine second division, so that should be fun. So that should be fun. So that's where you can find me, all those places. Thank you very much.
Yep, and you can find me, johnlo.tv, on Twitter, at Road to Legends, at RTL Football Podcast, everywhere. You can find the podcast on the social podcast network, Spotify, Amazon, anywhere really, YouTube, Twitch. We're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Behind the sofa. And
that's where it'd be when they play West Ham the weekend, wouldn't it?
Yeah. 4-0 West Ham.
And also make sure you get your applications in for Road to Legends Season 1 FM 23, as well as also getting your applications in if you want to join the team. We are looking for more commentators for Road to Legends. Me taking a slight ownership stepped back and Bullion's taken over. I'm overseeing the RTL brand. So we need a few more commentators. You'll see me on there occasionally, but not as much as I used to be. So we are looking for names. So make sure you get your applications in. You can, for both positions, you can apply on the Rota Legends Twitter account, and the applications are on there. And we will see you next week for another pod at the same time as usual. You've all been legends, and we will see you next week.